Secret back strategy for pain relief. Hi everyone, it's Jason Barlow, RMT. I'm here today as your therapist and coach to help you transform your stress, tension, and pain into health, happiness, and vitality. Step number one, today I want you to go to my website, jasonbarlowrmt.com, and download a free copy of my digital ebook, The 15-Step Playbook for Pain Relief. It's my first book. In this condensed book, I'm giving you the very raw materials of my fundamental reasons of how you can actually transform the reasons why and how to transform your stress, tension, and pain into health, happiness, and vitality. It's a summary of my nearly 20 years in this industry, and I've narrowed it down to my top 3 tips for each area of your health and wellness program, which sums up into 4 areas. We have our mind, we have our body, we have our food, and we have our rest and recovery. Most important, what I want you to understand in that regard is these are your controllables. Those 4 areas are things that you are able to control. So you know what that means? It means that you're completely responsible and accountable for where you're at currently. Now, without going into the self-pity and withdrawal and starting to turn the finger outside, just reflect on that and contemplate if that's actually applicable and true for you. I'm not talking about trauma type of situations specifically. If something's happened to you in that regard, what are you choosing to do about it? It's done. You've had the experience. You cannot dwell. Well, you can if you wish. But my advice is don't dwell and exaggerate on the pains and sufferings that you currently got. Focus on the solutions. That's what I'm talking about in my book. Today's focus, secret back strategy for pain relief. I want you to understand there are 2 causes of your pain. One is trauma. The falls, the bangs, the bumps, the motor vehicle accidents, the skiing incidents, the sporting injuries, and so forth. That's trauma. We're very commonly aware of when we have trauma, what it feels like, as well as the repercussions that come afterwards. The other one is surreptitiously playing its role every day, and it's what I call, and my mentor Paul St. John taught me, slow motion injuries. These are the ones that day by day, over many, many weeks, months, and years, we're accumulating. What I reference in my book is postural debt. We're all accumulating it. Most important is be aware of that, and what are you doing to pay off that debt? And my secret strategy today that I'm sharing with you is helping you to pay off that debt just as soon as possible. So let's plunge into it. We got the 2 causes: trauma, slow motion. Postural debt is a slow motion injury. This exercise today is focused on particularly improving your posture. Now, I want you to imagine a letter J that runs from right here in your sternum, right down the front of the abdomen, spreads out around the abdomen and into the lower back, but also continues down below the sex organ and the anus and up the posterior side, all along the length of your spine to the base of your skull. So imagine that. It's a letter J that is starting from your sternum, traveling down and under, running the entire length of your spine to the back of your skull. That's an important visualization, because very often when people are trying to rehabilitate from a spinal injury or they've had abdominal surgery, and in general, they're just trying to improve their overall core, what they're not aware of is the connection that must take place between the anterior muscles and the obliques on the lateral or either side of your abdomen and the lower back. The connecting point that usually people are missing is the pelvic floor muscles that run below and underneath your sex organs and around and in and around the anus. An important muscle around the front of the abdomen is your transversus abdominis. Now, in my video link I've got down below in the description, I actually share with you how to start this exercise. There are 2 videos, today's video, and there's another one I'm going to provide a link for that actually teaches you even more specifically the foundation of breathing that I'm talking about today. The transversus abdominis runs the entire width and wraps around the front of the abdomen into the lower back. It's one entire tissue that connects into what is known as the thoracolumbar fascia in the lower back. That's why it's known as an essential core muscle. And it also behaves like a corset if you're breathing properly. Now, I've done some math on this. More often than not, as adults, we're breathing extensively through the neck and shoulders, which is what contributes to, again, more postural debt. The head carries forward, the shoulders round, because these muscles, known as the accessory muscles of respiration, get inundated with too much information. And if you calculate out 16 breaths on average per minute that we're breathing and multiply that over 24 hours, we're north of 25,000 repetitions. That's a lot of repetitions. Imagine going to the gym every day and doing 25,000 bicep curls, 25,000 squats. Yes, there would be an improvement in some regard in a short term. However, you're going to tip the body into an imbalanced state if you don't complement and balance it by strengthening the opposing muscles. So the transversus abdominis muscle is an essential muscle that we've got to learn how to reapply or reintegrate that into movements. The best way is just breathing. So as you breathe and watch yourself in the mirror doing this, pay attention to your shoulders. They should have minimal to no movement, and it should just be your belly expanding and flattening. That is, your diaphragm helps you with the inhalation. The organs expand with the belly. That's your transversus abdominis muscle lengthening or expanding. And then as you breathe out, the reverse happens. Your belly starts to flatten and you draw the belly button inward toward the spine. Your diaphragm is shifting upward. What's that doing? It's pushing the air back out of the mouth and the nose. So the shoulders don't really have to involve themselves too much unless you're doing an activity or an exercise where there's a higher demand of oxygen requirement. Yeah, breathe in whatever way that you need to get that oxygen coming in. But particularly at rest, you want to breathe exclusively through this transversus abdominis muscle. And I teach you this in this exercise today. Another important element are what do we call the back stabilizers. So think of these small, intricate muscles that connect in all different directions around the spine from the base to the base of the skull. So the base of the spine, what we call the sacrum, all the way up to the base of the skull, which is part of the cervical spine and the neck region. Those stabilizers are integral part of your core musculature. Now, we got to tie those all together, and the way that we do that is ensuring that we're recruiting the pelvic floor muscles. So in my exercise I share with you on the YouTube video below, I talk about breathing through the diaphragm, exhaling, and recruiting the transversus abdominis muscle. So inhale, expand, exhale, and flatten. And as you draw the belly button inward toward the spine, it's at that point you squeeze your pelvic floor muscles, also known as a Kegel type of exercise, and you squeeze and hold the pelvic floor muscles and you stabilize the spine. Then you perform the exercise that I'm teaching today, which is called the alternating Superman. Now, as soon as you raise the opposite arm and leg, doing what I've described, what you're doing at that point is tremendously improving your posture, your alignment. You're paying off this postural debt. You're improving your stability of your spine. You're going to reduce the effects of any compression and facet joint irritation, because by being in this position, you're naturally lengthening the spine and decompressing the spine, and also creating that structural strength and stability that's usually lacking based upon our postural debt. Now, in the video description, I also described that I use a foam roller or a dowel rod. And the purpose of using this is it actually creates your external spine. By placing it on your back, if you watch my video, it illustrates or demonstrates that if you're not doing this exercise correctly, that dowel or foam roller will actually move off your back. It will roll side to side. Now, a good tool to use as well for yourself is to set a video camera up, use the phones these days, and video yourself so you can get different angles. That way, then you're creating yourself as a coach to give yourself feedback, and it's incredibly valuable because the dowel or foam roller may be moving left and right, but not rolling. Nevertheless, whenever that dowel or foam roller is moving away from a purely horizontal, fully aligned position, It is telling you and showing you that your spine is moving. The whole purpose of this exercise is to prevent the spine from moving, to actually teach it to remain stable and hold its posture in alignment. Why? So that that translates to you day to day when you're sitting, you're driving, you're functioning, you're exercising, and you're doing the things that you love to do. You will be able to maintain a more neutral spine because now you have the structural strength and integrity, stability, and core encompassing that to be able to do it, stress, tension, and pain relief. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave some comments. I can get back to you as quickly as I can. I appreciate you joining me today. Remember, the link for this video instruction is down below. Check it out. And I'll also add the second one, which teaches the very essential parts of breathing for you. Go to my website, get that book, because it talks a lot more about this and goes into more depth for you. Remember, your muscle health is my #1 priority. I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you.